Hi everyone, I'm Elle, Head of Content here at Dark Horse, and today I want to talk to you about your money or your life content, which is taken incredibly seriously by Google. If your product or services fall within that YMYL category, your site and its content needs to meet very high quality standards to rank well organically. So let's talk about what YMYL content is and 5 ways you can write effective YMYL content. So before we talk about YMYL content, we need to talk about EAT content, a key criteria used by Google to determine the quality of content. So what is EAT? EAT stands for expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. So expertise relates to the content creator, the person actually writing that content. So you need to determine whether that person has the experience, the knowledge, and the credentials to be talking about a particular topic. Authoritativeness relates to the content creator, the content itself, and the site on which that content sits. So would the peers of the content creator look to them as an expert in that industry? Would they agree with what that content creator is saying? And does the site as a whole relate back to that topic to make it relevant? Trustworthiness comes down essentially to whether or not people would turn to your site as a source of accurate and honest information. ETA is incredibly important when we're talking about YMYL content. So what is YMYL content? YMYL stands for your money or your life. It's basically a form of information that if presented inaccurately or untruthfully can have a direct impact on a person's happiness, health, safety, and financial stability. Topics that fall within that YMYL category include news and current events, financial advice, legal advice, and health and safety advice, as just a few examples. So as a business, there's 2 things to consider when you're talking about YMYL content. First, does your business fall within that YMYL category? And second, if it does, how are you going to create effective YMYL content? We've got 5 top tips to help you. The first thing you want to do is ensure your content is written by or in consultation with an expert that has relevant expertise on the topic that you're writing about. So if you're publishing health advice, say, you might want to talk to a nurse, a doctor, or a health practitioner who works within that field. So say you're publishing information about vitamins and supplement advice, you might talk to a dietitian. If you're publishing recipes, you might rely on a nutritionalist. If you're doing workouts or HIIT routines, you might talk to a physiotherapist or a personal trainer. You can of course still publish content if you're not an expert within that field, but can consult an expert. Just make sure that you quote them, cite their data or sources, add links to relevant resources, and link to a bio page that highlights the expertise of the consultant. This will carry the same weight of expertise as them writing the article initially. If you're not an expert on a given topic and you don't have an expert to consult, do not write about that topic. The second thing you want to do is provide proof of a writer's experience via a byline and a separate bio page. So the byline should cover their full name, their job title, and any key credentials. And then that bio page, which you'll link to from the byline, will go into more depth about their expertise. So you might cover their diplomas, their qualifications, their university degrees, and any key experience or places that they've worked at. You might also consider adding a link to their contact information with an email form submission or by linking to their social media handles. All of this helps signal to users and Google who has written that content and to then assess their individual EAT. Our third top tip is to keep your pages up to date. So say you write an article about a report that is released annually. You'll obviously use the 2022 data to write that report, but you want to make sure that every year you're then revisiting the latest data and re-updating that page. So in 2023, you'll come back to that page and update it with the new information from 2023. At the top of that article, you want to explain when and why that page was updated and link to the new resource that you're using. All of this signals to both the user and Google that you're keeping up to date with the information and are working hard to provide the most accurate and most relevant information to them. Our fourth top tip is to remove or improve low quality content. So if you have content that's no longer useful or relevant that sits on your site, consider removing it altogether, though this should be a last resort. If you have valuable topics on your site, but the article that covers it or the page that covers it just isn't adequate, i.e. it's not well optimized, it's not user-friendly, there's not enough information on the page, or simply it doesn't follow EAT criteria, you just need to improve it. So you could either have an expert rewrite that topic for you, you could rewrite it in consultation with an expert and make sure that you quote them. You could add lots of relevant information to that page using keyword research to establish what people want to know about that topic and make sure that you're answering all of those key questions. You could ensure that the article is readable, user-friendly, and is free of grammar and spelling errors. And then you could add visuals like infographics, images, or even video content if it's relevant. This will help elevate that page and fit the EAT YMYL criteria. Our final top tip is to highlight your positive reputation. As trustworthiness comes down to your reputation and whether or not others view you as an authority, you need to highlight your positive reputation. So this can be done through digital PR campaigns, by acquiring links from other trustworthy sources, by adding positive customer reviews to your website, or even by making your About Us, Contact Us, and customer service pages easily accessible. This will show Google that others trust you and that you have nothing to hide. In summary, YMYL content needs to meet Google's higher EAT expectations to be considered useful for the user and for Google's algorithm to consequently rank your site higher in search engine result pages. If you're looking to develop a YMYL content strategy but don't know where to start, speak to Dark Horse.